and welcome back to Gee's Kitchen, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis and today I want to show you how to make my yummy chocolate pecan biscuits. As I just mentioned, today I want to share with you how to make my delicious chocolate pecan biscuits or cookies if you live in America. These are really easy to do, and the reason I'm making them again is because my biscuit barrel is empty. I think the last time I made some biscuits, the biscuit barrel was empty, so that's my excuse to make some more. And while we're in lockdown and craving sweet stuff, I thought these were a great one to make. They are really sweet, really crunchy, and just really nice to have as a snack or like an after dinner treat or after lunch treat as well. My son really likes them as well, and my husband, well, he likes any type of biscuit, so yes, we're on to a winner with these. And I thought as I was making them I'd show you how to make them. So here is how to make my delicious chocolate pecan biscuits. So the first thing I've done is to grind up some oats in my NutriBullet. So I've made like oat flour with some gluten-free oats that I have in the cupboard. You don't have to use gluten-free oats, you can use any type of oats you like. And then I also ground up some pecans in my NutriBullet as well. Pecans, when they get ground, they're quite an oily nut. So they do go a bit mushy rather than like into flour, but that's perfect. That's just what you want for this recipe. So I'm going to put those in with the ground oats. And then I also have 100 grams of brown rice flour here as well. If you can't get brown rice flour and you aren't gluten intolerant, you can use plain flour in this recipe if you want to. And I'm going to add that in, so that's 100 grams of rice flour in there. And I'm just going to mix these round. And then to make them chocolate, I've got 50 grams of raw cacao powder. And raw cacao powder is different to cocoa powder. It's simply just the chocolate plant. There's nothing added to it, nothing taken away, and I much prefer this. I buy this in really large bags from Costco, and I always use it in like chocolate puddings and breakfast sometimes as well. I put it in my porridge and things. It's really delicious. It's not sweet because it's 100% cocoa powder, but if you add things like maple syrup or honey to it, it makes it sweet, so it's lovely. So I'm just going to add that in as well. And then in this bowl I have 150 grams of coconut sugar. I tend to use coconut sugar a lot in my recipes, or I will use brown sugar as well. I much prefer coconut sugar or brown sugar simply because I think they're better for the liver. So they slide through the body a lot easier than refined sugars and things. So I'm going to add that in, and I'm just going to mix all of these ingredients around like so. And then I have to go and get a teaspoon. So I'm just going to go off and get a teaspoon. Hang on a sec. Right, so I've got my teaspoon, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking powder to this as well. And then I'm also going to add a teaspoon of ground sweet cinnamon. If you can't get ground sweet cinnamon, you can use sweet cinnamon. Ground sweet cinnamon is just slightly sweeter, and it's really nice as well. I have to say, if you can get this, please do give it a try. I use it in lots of my foods. I use it in pancakes that we have. I use it in porridge, cakes, biscuits like this as well. Just gives it that really nice sweetness to things. So once this is all well mixed together, which I think it is now, and all the chocolate, all the raw cacao powder is through, yep, I think that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in 100 grams of ghee. Now ghee is butter without the milk. So it's basically the fat of the butter, and I have a recipe for ghee and a video that I will link in the description box below for you. So if you are interested in how to make it, then please go check that out. I will link that down below for you. And now all I'm going to do is mix all of these ingredients together so that everything is well combined. You may need to add a bit of milk to this as well. It does look as though it's going to be a bit dry. Obviously biscuits are a dry consistency, but I think I'm going to just need to add a bit of milk to that. So I'm just going to go and get some milk. So I'm just going to add a bit of milk, a little bit at a time. Just until the mixture becomes a bit wetter basically and everything glues together. And then what you want is for the biscuit mix to form a dough ball, and then you can start rolling this out. So we're just waiting for this to form a dough ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a tiny bit more milk. So as I said, just add a little bit at a time just to see how it looks. If it becomes too wet, then you can always add a bit more brown rice flour to dry it out as well. So that looks perfect now. It's starting to form a dough ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this out now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the dough out. So I've got some extra brown rice flour here, and I'm just going to spread this across the base of a board, and then I'm going to grab myself a piece of the biscuit dough, and I'm going to roll it out like so until it's about half a centimetre thick, I'd say. You can make these as thick or as thin as you like. I quite like thin and crunchy biscuits, to be honest with you. So I think that's about as much as I can do. So now I'm going to just cut one out like so, and I'm going to put this onto a spare board. So, and I'll show you why I'm going to put them onto a spare board rather than a baking tray in a moment. So I'm going to continue to do this now until I've used up all of the cookie dough. So I've got 2 trays worth of biscuits that I'm going to put into the fridge now. And you might be thinking, why are you putting them in the fridge and not the oven? Well, when you put them in the fridge, they tend to go cold. And then when you put them onto like a baking sheet, when they're cold, they tend to get a bit crispier than they do if you put them straight into the oven now. And I tend to love a crunchy, crispy biscuit. So that's why I'm going to put them in the fridge. I'm going to put them in there for about half an hour, and then I'll put them into the oven, and I'll show you that when we get there. The biscuits are in the fridge. I'm going to preheat the oven to 180 degrees. So my biscuits have been in the fridge for a good half an hour now, and I'm going to transfer them to my baking trays. So here I have 2 baking trays, and these are a bit different to baking trays. These are actually Pampered Chef stoneware, and they're great for baking on, because what happens with stoneware is it takes out all of the badness from the food and leaves the goodness. So I'm using these to cook the biscuits on. If you don't have stoneware, don't worry about it. You can use baking trays, but I would put a bit of parchment or greaseproof paper down before I put the biscuits on. So I'm just going to put all of the biscuits onto the baking trays now. And as I said earlier, as they've been in the fridge, they should be nice and crunchy when they come out of the oven and they've cooled down. So I'm just going to continue to put these on the baking tray now. So all of the biscuits have been put onto the trays now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, or until they turn a nice golden brown colour. So my biscuits have been in the oven for about 12 minutes now, and they're looking a lovely golden brown colour, as you can see. So I'm going to take these out and I'm going to leave them to cool on a cooling rack now. Left the biscuits to cool until they are completely cold, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into my biscuit barrel. So I'm just going to put these in, and that is my chocolate pecan biscuits done. So that's how you make my delicious chocolate pecan biscuits, and that recipe I will link in the description box below for you, and I'll also link the ghee recipes in the description box below and the video for that as well. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye!